Okay, this is a video review for the Sony IER Z1R. That's them right there. They are absolutely gorgeous. They sound amazing. The music that I'm using to come to my conclusions that this is the best earphone that I've got in my collection, and it trumps the Empire Ears Legend X without a problem, actually. And I'll explain to you why. Aerosmith, No More, No More, number 1. Number 2, Coming Up by Pimp C. Number 3, Ozzy, D. Number 4, Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. Number 5, Pink Floyd, On the Run. Number 6, Big Boy, Kill Jill. Number 7, Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run. That's the music that I used. I listen to other stuff. I'm listening to Tupac just before I turn this video on. The bass is, the notes are thick. The bass is powerful, but it's not overbearing on any of these things. On the OCD moments that I'm listening to, they're absolutely done perfectly. When Sony does well, they make legends. Let me get right to the point. When Sony does good stuff, they make legends. This is the EX1000, and it's legendary. People sometimes cite, you know, it used to be the apex of dynamic drivers. Now there's something else. No, there isn't, in my opinion. How much do I love them? It's a mini XLR recabled. I can terminate to anything I want. That's the MA900. In Japan, super popular. Very expensive nowadays. Discontinued long time ago. It's also been recabled. These were both sent to Michigan from Japan to go mini XLR, so I can, you know, go whatever termination that I need to do. Magnesium yokes. These are, you forget that these are on your head. So that MDR Z1R is coming up. I saw it didn't get a lot of love. I'm going to go through that with music. Maybe that's the case, but I'm going to explain what I think. And also the Flagship, which I'm not a fan of, but I have my possession, so they don't always nail it, but when they do really, really good. They nailed it with this set right here. These are just so good, man. This is an audio file right here, in my opinion. First track is Aerosmith, No More, No More. This is off of the Toys in the Attic album, and this is my knowledge bomb. Let's go to the knowledge bomb first. Written by Steven Tyler and Joe Perry, the song came at a time when Tyler was struggling to come up with effective lyrics for the tracks on Toys in the Attic. The band told him to write about what he knew, so he came up with the words about life on the road, the hotels, groupies, and boredom. Tyler calls the song My Diary. The opening lyrics, blood stains the ivories of my dad's baby grand, relate to the piano Tyler would park himself under while his dad, a classical trained musician, would play. This is what I'm always talking about, the piano in the track, I guess tied to the lyrics. Somebody is banging on the keys like they're going to bloody their fingers up, and they're doing it up and down, and the piano is something that goes from it goes from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz fundamental and harmonic. It covers the whole thing. If there's something going odd in the mids, you're going to catch it on the piano. You cannot not escape the piano, especially if it's played in the way it is on this track. But there's your little knowledge bomb. I didn't know that. I knew that there was difficulty with lyrics on this album, but I didn't know the particular story about this track. This came up because I used to talk about, after the cymbal crash at 7 seconds, that there was some kind of, it sounded like a cowbell or something, and a guy came into the comment section who is a drummer apparently. He's like, no, that's a ride cymbal, and he's like doing like quarter notes, like keeping time pretty much, which is exactly what is happening in the song. So if you listen to Aerosmith, No More, No More, at 7 seconds you'll hear a cymbal crash, and then you hear a king, king, and it's right what this guy's doing, which he's not using the tip of the stick, he's using probably around here, and he's hitting right about here, and because that's going to hit and die. The birth and death of that sound is going to be very quick because he's keeping time, and he's also doing it with the kick drum at the same time. That you can tell that that's what he's doing on this track is really not easy to do with a lot of mid-level gear, because it sounds like a cowbell. It sounds like he's tapping sticks when it's really bad. When it's really clear, it sounds like he's doing what he's doing right there. And it's clear, and I checked it out. So if you want to check that out with some of your gear and say, oh, I can hear it really well, that's not a big deal. Remember that. And when you get other stuff that is touted as being really exceptional, listen again. If there's one thing about getting really expensive gear, it's that there are improvements. Is it worth the money to pay? That is a debate to be had, and I don't think so. But are there differences? There are. Does this sound the same on a lot of Chi-Fi gear? Unfortunately, no, it doesn't. These balanced armatures, I think, are made in-house by Sony. That like the DACs and their music players, whereas iBass and other companies will take, Sabres and A&Ks, and Sony makes a lot of their own stuff. They're a giant company, good and bad. So I can hear this perfectly. It sounds great. The next is a track called Coming Up. Pimp C. The Sweet James Jones Stories. Pimp C is one of the members of the UGK, Underground King. If you're not into hip-hop, it doesn't really matter. This track right here, Coming Up, it's got a wicked clean bass hit, and it's also got a lot of sparkly and stuff that like makes this sound. Sounds like air. It sounds like orgasms. Audio orgasms. If that doesn't make you want to go try to get a good copy of this track, and if you're ever trying to check like sparkle and air, try this track right here. I never wreck music because it's a personal thing, but if you're looking for something with some sparkle, check this track right here. It's on the Sweet James Jones Stories, and it's Coming Up featuring Zero and Lil Flip. It is fucking fantastic. The sense of air and sparkle on this set for something. So it's got the power of the bass driver, which is, I believe, is like 12 millimeter, not the 16, but it's 12. It's still a good size. It's got magnesium dome. It's constantly present, but it's not interfering with all of the other information. Bruce Springsteen's vocals in Born to Run, there's no overwhelming of anything going on. The cohesive connection between the dynamic drive and the BAs are done perfectly. I thought that the lower level M9, I think it's called, was, for its price, probably a better investment of your money, but in just overall sound quality, this would be the set. The Flagship is in fact the Flagship. So this would be a track that I would rec, just to check it for sparkle if you ever like wanted to check something out. The next one's going to be Aussie. A, B, C, D, D, G, J, K, L, M, Blizzard of Oz. This is a track called D, and it's an acoustic, classical-ish type acoustic done by Randy Rhoads, who's a classically trained guitarist or musician. Very talented. Rest in peace. The thing that I'm looking for on this is a finger slide. You can hear his finger sliding at 27.5 to 28.5. So if you want to hear these OCD moments, you don't come in at this. You come in about 5 seconds prior, and then you anticipate it coming in. Timestamp 27.5, 28.5. It's sometimes it sounds like a squeak, and sometimes you can hear the tip of a finger sliding. Part of it's on the string and part of it's on the neck, the bridge of the guitar. You can hear it, the squeak sound that he makes. I can catch it really clearly with this set. This is D. That's the OCD moment, if you want to know. So I said I'd get really specific with you guys. The next track is, OP. We're going right next door to Pink Floyd. There's actually two going on here. One is Wish You Were Here. God, I love this album. This is actually a DSD. Like I said, does it matter? No, but it doesn't hurt. There's a lot of swoosh, swoosh, left and right swishing that goes on that can just, it gets, puts you in a trance, kind of. If you're trying to, it's hard to explain. It's such a rhythm. It's like waves in the ocean. 113, the left and right side. It comes in and it comes out. It comes in and it comes out. 204, 207. There's a the quality of it is really good. These are me making little timestamp notes while I'm listening. I just wanted to hear that. At the beginning, there's like the elevator, all that stuff, the little micro details, the resolution of all that is absolutely excellent. So I thought I'm going to go to my original go-to when it comes to clarity. This is a DSD of Pink Floyd, and I'm listening to On the Run. And the gate announcement is a woman telling people to get their passports ready and to get in line pretty much for a flight to Rome. And it exists from 26 and then it goes all the way to 58-second timestamp. And I never really sat and listened to how far I could catch it because the song starts to go into its next phase while she's still talking. So I was trying to listen to how far I can really catch it clearly, and I could catch it to 58. And I'm going to keep going on other sets in the future because I always check to how much I can catch of what she's saying. I never really listen to how far I can catch her overall, because when it gets busy, that should reduce my ability to kind of perceive and catch what she's talking about. I can catch it all the way to 58 seconds. So the clarity and resolution of the set is exceptional. Who has these? They must love them. I'm never letting these go. These are like the MA900s. If I could do something with this, cable's actually fine. I looked at it and thought, what? It's perfect. It does not get in the way. This whole thing is awesome. It isolates everything out of my head. The bass is powerful when it's supposed to be. The vocals are. Let me go to the next thing. So anyway, clarity check and resolution for Pink Floyd was absolutely spot on. Next one is going to be Big Boy. And I just talked about A, B, C, D, E, F, yeah, right? This one. I just was talking about how the Sundara has one hit and doesn't have the other, but I didn't timestamp exactly what I was talking about. So if you were like, I wish you'd been more specific. I don't know who says that about me, but you could have on that moment. I said that there are two bass hits, and one of them is a lower. Let's say one of them is 65 hertz and the other is 45 hertz. Let's just say that. The upper hit starts at 33 seconds. If you listen, that's when the bass drops. You can hear that hit. The next one comes in at, it looks like I wrote 39. 37, 39. I'd say, and it looks like a 9. At 39 seconds, the lower hit comes in. On the Sundara headphones, you can't even catch that. You can catch that there's something going on, like the driver's doing something, but you can't really catch it. On this set, like there's other sets that do it, so that's not a big deal, but it sounds, this song sounds fucking epic. So if you're ever listening for sub-bass roll-off, this might be a good 33 you might catch because it's, around 60, right where sub-bass actually is technically marked. And then below that at around 45 hertz at 39 seconds is a lower sub-bass hit. That might be something you might not catch on stuff that's got some roll-off. This, of course, plays both of them. This is bass leaning. Vocals are always right. There's no odd treble marks ever in anything. I've not ever... Oh, no, that's not true. I almost just lied there. I have seen frequency response graphs, but not in a long time, so I can't even remember what this looks like. It sounds fantastic. It doesn't have any moments of that could become a problem. And that happens on all sets. These are the EX1000s, and these have problems sometimes. These can be fatiguing in the treble. These can have spikes right at the point that some people can find offensive. These are not a set where I can just say, you get the EX1000s, you'll be fine. The fit is not easy. The treble is to taste. This is not the same. These fit. These are massive. They fit awesome. These don't isolate well. These block out two heaters that are playing at the same time. Air conditioner that can do heating and a gas heater that's right behind me. I couldn't hear either one of them without music playing, just sticking them in my ear with the included tips. So isolation is fantastic. Fit is fantastic. The cable is excellent. Micro details on the music I listen to is absolutely spectacular. This is where the Empire Ears Legend X falls apart. And because I listen to them. When I listened to the Empire Ears Legend X and I was listening to the D. I couldn't catch that moment at 27 to 28. That little finger slide sounded like a E, like a little whistle or a little. I can't explain. This sounded like a guy's finger on a guitar, is what it sounded like. And on the Legend X, it didn't quite sound like that. No More, No More. The power that the Legend X's 2 Dynamics driver is putting out makes this so that I think I can tell what it is, but I'm not sure. And also the piano sounds a little bit faded back, and that's got like 9 crossovers or some crazy stuff. It's an absolutely excellent set, but this is top of the line, legitimately top of the line. Absolutely fantastic. I'm not telling anybody anything they haven't heard yet because this has been out for 2 years, but I'm a huge fan of this set. These are absolutely awesome. Best set that I've got in my collection. That's not hype because I've had these for a while, but today I put them together with the Legend X, and the part that I always said about the Legend X is, in fact, shows its face when it's compared with the Sony, which is also said to be quite potent and powerful. It is, but it's the way they tuned it. They just did it correctly. And the Legend X did it correctly for people that love bass, and I love bass, but I love all of the music. This does that better. Trying to think if there's any other notes. I don't want to keep you guys. It's expensive. Do I recommend it? You got 2 ways to do this hobby. One is that you sit in the $200 range and you do that and you think that you're saving money, and then when you look back in 3 years, you realize you've spent that and more on this $200 set, this $200 set, this $300 set. You sold it, you lost some money, you kept turning over, and it becomes this eventually. I would recommend that you would get this and skip, unless you enjoy the chase. If you're really into just having audio played back and sitting back and thinking like this is what the supreme level is, that you would just do this and skip the game. The game is fun, I get it. But for others, it's not. They literally really want to just get, what's the best I can get? I don't mind spending money, but I don't want to regret my purchase. I would say that the IER Z1R would be that set. It does have potent bass. That bass does not interfere with the perception and with the delivery of the mid-frequency, early treble. All of the stuff that I look for and listen to was present. It sounded exceptional. It wasn't just there. It was as good as I've heard it. The treble is not an issue in any kind of a way. It doesn't stimulate in any way. It doesn't step wrong at any moment. There's no things that sound like they could potentially be a problem. This would be a safe, save your money and spend it on this rec. More than the Legend, because that bass is just, it's too much. Could you monitor with this set? That would be kind of cutting it close. I would probably say no. If you were a drummer or a bass guitarist with money, because you and your bandmates are doing well, yeah, it looks huge, but it fits great, and the playback is just premier. What a absolute fantastic job they did. If you come in and you ask me, well, how's the Voyager 14 compare to this? It doesn't compare to the Legend X either, but that would be on the bass. But that would be, these are dynamic drivers versus all BA. There are differences. Is it worth the money? I always say that's up to you. I'd say this is, actually. Because when I look at the people that keep spending $200 and $300, and you add that up over a year, 2 years, you could have had that. Think about what you spend before you talk about the crazy price of earphones. It is crazy if you sit and regret, and I've done that. I've felt nothing but euphoria listening to this set. Holy crap. Sony, fucking good job. And I am going to listen to some music and upload this video, and I'm out.